Good morning. Good morning, folks. This is Shipbill the Explorer. But good morning. We are welcome to this video today. And you you wonder, what are you looking at? You wonder what you're looking at. Welcome to this station. And if you're coming on to the first time and you like these videos, we encourage you to just just um, like and share if you think, and if you do want to oblige the station, you can subscribe, because we get a lot more videos like this in the future. So welcome. I appreciate all of you for the my friends and thing of returned and continue looking at these videos, and really appreciate you. And for those who have subscribed, I really do also appreciate you. Welcome to Shippy the Explorer. And today I am the eunuch. And you're gonna guess, based on what we do this morning, you're gonna have to guess which country you are in. You know, you that's your goal for today. That's your assignment. You know, um, so let's start. Um, you're gonna have guessed where I'm going next. Here we are. Yeah, the country is linguistically diverse with over 80 languages, primarily belonging to the Afro-Asiatic Pilum, which means Goshitic, Semitic, and Omitic branches, while Amharic is a long-standing national working language. Oromo is the most widely spoken primary language. That's one clue. The currency is right now is a bear. Language is that the currency is a bear. ABIRR. You get any clue yet? No. The places that that are there, the very interesting places. They have places like Sashamani. They have Lilybell. They have Oxum. They have Kaffa. They have the mountains. They have the valleys. They have also Lucy. Lucy, one of the holiest archaeological find in the world, was found in the valleys of the Rift Valley in that country. Get any clue yet? Yes, you're getting closer. Yes, you're in the continent. You're in the continent. So you're getting closer. Getting closer. So here we are. I make my notes, and my notes got flipped over, and so we're trying to get back into back to my notes. So, places to go. The places, the St. George's Church, Danakil Depression, Lalibela, Rift Valley, Oxum, Sashamani, as I said before, Kofa, and all that. The language, the currency is bear, B-I-R-R. You know what? Currently, the currency of the bear is equivalent is $1 to 154 point or 155.9 something, 155, 154.9 something, anywhere around that. And it has some of the, well, you know, the capital, Addis Ababa, founded by Menelik, a song, The Queen of Sheba by Solomon from the 10th century. 10th century before BC. Independence was 1906. So that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. And keep my fingers crossed. I'll be doing all sort of things. Take my time and be careful and tape and video as much as possible, you know, from all this, for this beautiful country. And, well, I'm not sure about the Ngari. That bread that they make from some kind of beans, I've never gotten used to it. But this time, if I go and get the authentic type, I'll see if it's better. But here we are. There's a story about this country, and this country is so old that it's referred. There's reference to it in the Bible. And yeah, we some people are afraid of the Bible. When we talk about the Bible, but the story is this. There was a man, the eunuch, and he was going back from Jerusalem, back to his home, which is Ethiopia. But the story is that, and he was reading, he took up a scroll. He must have pulled one of his scroll pulled his scroll like this, and pulled his scroll, and he was reading. And here, this is what he was reading. Isaiah 53, 7 to 8. And he read, "He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led by a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before the shearers is silent. So he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away, and who can speak of his descendants? For he was cut from the hand of the living. For the transgression of my people he was stricken." There he goes. So this man, the eunuch, was reading the scroll from Isaiah 53, 7 to 9. And suddenly, just years after the crucifixion of Christ, one of Christ's leaders, Philip, got the word that this Ethiopian eunuch was traveling along the road in his chariot. It must have been in something like this, relaxed, reading, because he was reading. He was a treasure of the royal kingdom of Candace, Queen Candace. But I have a story to tell you about Queen Candace later on. And this Ethiopian eunuch was reading from Isaiah. But somehow Philip got the vision that he should go and see this man. And so the story of Philip, here we are, was written in the Bible in Acts 8. um, Acts 8:26 down to 40. And here's the story. Philip and the Ethiopian. Now an angel of the Lord said to Philip, "Go south to the road and the desert road that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza." So he started out, and on his way he met an Ethiopian eunuch, an important official in charge of all the treasure of Candace, queen of the Ethiopians. This man had gone to Jerusalem to worship, and on his way home was sitting in his chariot reading the book of Isaiah the prophet, just like this. The Spirit told Philip, "Go to that church chariot and stay near it." Then Philip ran up to the chariot and heard the man reading Isaiah the prophet. He said, "Do you understand what you are reading?" Philip asked. I said, "How can I?" he said, "unless someone explain it to me." So he invited Philip to come up and sit with him in his chariot. And now Philip is beside him and he's here. The eunuch was reading this passage of scripture. He was led like a sheep to the slaughter, and as a lamb before the shearer, he is silent. So he did not open his mouth. In his humiliation, he was deprived of justice. Who can speak of his descendants? For his life was taken from the earth. The eunuch asked Philip, "Tell me, please, who is the prophet? Who is the prophet talking about? Himself or someone else?" Then Philip began with the very passage of scripture that told the good news about Jesus. As they traveled along the road, they came to some water, and the eunuch said, "Look, here is water. Why shouldn't I be baptized?" And he gave orders to stop the chariot. Then both Philip and the eunuch went down into the water, and Philip baptized him. When they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord suddenly took Philip away. And the eunuch did not see him again, but went on his way rejoicing. Philip, however, appeared at Azotus and traveled about, preaching the gospel in all the towns until he reached Caesarea. So now, this is the story. The Ethiopian eunuch, sorry about that, was an official of the Queen of Candace, of all Ethiopians. And then we modern folks, we interpret that as Ethiopia. So we go away with all these years of thinking that the Ethiopian eunuch was actually going back to Ethiopia. But you listen to the words of the passage. The queen was a representative, the head of the countries of Ethiopian countries. So when you think about it, or when you Google the Queen of Candace, you realize that the Queen of Candace in our historical records now was the Queen of Sudan. But we can assume that Sudan, which is south of Ethiopia, but we can always assume at that time Sudan was part of Ethiopia. And so, was the eunuch going to Sudan, or was he going back to Ethiopia? But let's keep it at Ethiopia because brighter minds than ourselves have said he's a eunuch from 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 Ethiopia. And you know, if you want to Google what is the eunuch and all that, we are big people, but I don't want to. It's a special male person that has been physically changed in based on what they do, an operation that they do. So I get the historical impression from what my little history is that they must have been done. It must have been done to them physically by they wanting it, or it was done by force in certain cases, like slaves for the whole soul of the queen or the royalty, and so it was done for them to take their minds off of physical and sexual desires, and so they can dedicate their work to their queen or to their king. And that's where we are. So this man, I'm pretending to be the Ethiopian eunuch, dressed in my royalty and in my chariot, and I have servants, and so if I am like this, I must be very important, because from Ethiopia to Jerusalem, that's miles. And if you're going from, he was on official business also, but it seems like he went up to Jerusalem to worship, because he must have, he seemed like he was a devoted person. Maybe at that time he was a believer of the one God. And it shows, if you really look into it, it shows that the idea of the ultimate God had spread in the southeastern part of the Horn of Africa. It had spread already. And if this man is aware of that God, then, and I'm reading the scroll from Isaiah, although he didn't understand what it was totally about, it shows that the region from which he came, which he lived, was exposed to that concept already. So when we study this when we're younger, we think that the the concept of Christianity was spread into Ethiopia because of him. It's not totally correct. When he was reading the passage, and then Philip came and explained it to him, then he realized that Jesus, who is the Son of God, was the one, that sacrificial lamb that came and for the people who believe in that teaching. And now he's going back into his country with the new enlightenment that you have God and you have Jesus and you have the Spirit, which in our religious belief is the Trinity. The Trinity, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Well, we are getting into some religion today, folks, but if we are going to go with me into Ethiopia, then I want you to get a fuller picture of what that country is about. That country. So Ethiopia, as based on the history, the recorded history, is that um, they were the 10th, they were in the recording history of the 10th century BC, before Christ, and even before that. But we're not getting into that deep history because Shippey the Explorer is not too much of an expert in that. But from the 10th century BC, this country was being referred to in the historical books of the world. That means Ethiopia is one of the oldest established cultures of this planet. Oldest, one of the oldest. And if you for geography, you know that out of Ethiopia comes the Blue Nile. And then that joins with the regular Nile and it flows north through Egypt. And you know the history. The Nile is the longest river in the world. And then if you go into the history of Egypt and Ethiopia, you know that they had, their conflicts, their differences, with the Kushite and the Egyptian pharaohs and all that. And at one time, even the Kushites became the pharaohs of that whole region. But back to the Ethiopian eunuch. Now he has gone back, he's going back into his country, and he's taken the concept of Christianity. Back then, it wasn't even Christianity, it was called the Way, W-A-Y, the people of the Way. The movement was following a new concept around the teachings of Christ, and the followers were called the people of the Way. And it was later in Antioch, around Paul and Saul and who became Paul, and with Peter and all their teachings. It was first, there were the people that followed Christ were first called Christians in Antioch. History, folks. So, Shippey the Explorer, I'm packed, almost just ready to close the suitcases, make the final check or checks to make sure that I have some pocket money, make sure that I have clothes. I won't be dressed like this because this represents maybe all sort of cultures. I'm just being a eunuch today. And I have my paperwork ready. I have my medication ready. And I have a hope in mind. And if God keeps me healthy and strong and I can walk around and move from place to place, I hope to bring you footage of, you guessed it right, finally you guessed it right, the country of Ethiopia. I look forward to that. Look forward to all these videos. And I'm gonna go with an open mind and make sure that I learn as much as possible. And I'm gonna see if my eyes can find the interesting slots or spots to bring the history and the beauty and the spiritual goodness of that country. Show you the food and show you my reaction to some of the foods. And show you the reaction to the people, the places, and the things. And hopefully, I wish to do a good job. So, I hope that I do a great job so that you may be inspired, may be educated, you may be informed, you may be entertained, and keep you abreast of what that country looks like now in comparison to the historical things. Especially looking forward to St. George's Church. Because I can give you a little history of that. This church, a series of number of churches, were hewed out of a solid rock from the top of the surface of the earth. They cut down into this solid rock and cut the rooms of a church out of the rock, cut the roofs, and then moved to the second floor down, and they cut again and hewed out the rock until they have a chapel in the ground going down, made out of solid rock. Looking forward to that. And then, if life's fair and everything goes right, I'm going to try to go to Shashamane. Shashamane is really the place, the spiritual rebirth of the people who wanted religious freedom, and especially the Rastafarians from Jamaica and all the Rastafarians from over the diaspora were encouraged. They were given 500 acres of land by Haile Selassie, the emperor of Ethiopia at the time. And Haile Selassie invited them down and said, come on home. If you don't want to be persecuted, come on down. And they took it up, took his offer and went in gross. And from then until now, they are there. They have engrossed themselves from 1947 into the culture of Ethiopia. And they have taken the Caribbean or other regions of the West into that region and make a collage of a new life. Some of them from 1950 something, they're born and grew up there and they've never been back in the Caribbean. Some of them born and grew and died in that country in Ethiopia, and they have never been to the Caribbean. It's an uproot of culture from the West back into the East. And Shippy the Explorer will hopefully get to go into that city and see what amalgamation they have created, what they have done with the music of the Rastafarians to mix with the Ethiopian music, the language. See what they have done with it. See what they have done with the food. See if they have wrapped the food spices together and see what tastes are coming out of that. The concept of building, the concept of book reading and library, the whole concept of education, the whole concept of health. What influence have they brought onto the culture of Ethiopia, and what Ethiopia has done to them? Who are the people of the Shashamane region? And so that's what Shippy the Explorer is trying. My aim is to do that. So remember, you see me going down, I'm going to convert some of my money to bear and and try to get around. And understand the country has developed quite extensively. But if I get back into the back bushes, I think I'll expect a long ride along those country roads. But along those country roads, my eyes are looking out for the man on foot, the man in the stream, the man in the salt ponds, the women and children along the streams fishing and washing, the people moving around on their donkeys or on foot. How do they survive? Shippy the Explorer is looking forward to Ethiopia and all that it has to offer. I take you with me, and may God protect my journey so I can bring you videos from the East. I see you. Hopefully you'll enjoy them. Hopefully you'll be educated by them, informed by them. And I look forward to them. And so do you. Bye for now. I start the journey soon. And I'll bring you footage. Come with me. With an open mind. Thanks for watching. Do share, like, and subscribe. See you soon.